Newly elected US President Donald Trump signed a whole blitz of executive orders the moment he took office. Many of these were welcomed by Americans, while some were downright controversial. But at the top of the list of what will actually directly affect Indians is Trump's order to end birthright citizenship.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the courts? That one is likely to be challenged.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We think we have very good grounds.
Sir,
People have wanted to do this for decades.
This order, which will officially come into effect from 20th February, basically ensures that the children of foreign passport holders, they will not be considered American citizens by birth any longer. While this move is basically to curb undocumented immigrants, the thing is that it will greatly impact even those people who are legally in the country. This includes tourists, students, and those on temporary work visas who may be awaiting their H1B or green cards. There are currently over 1 million Indians who are currently in line for green cards. Let's dive deeper into this whole story to understand how exactly this is all likely to pan out. As per the 14th Amendment to the US Constitution, all persons born or naturalized in the US and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the US and of the state wherein they reside. This guarantee has been part of the country's constitution for over 150 years, that anyone born in the US is automatically an American citizen, even if their parents aren't. This includes everyone, children of tourists, kids of students studying in American colleges or working in the US on short-term visas, and of course undocumented immigrants, which was the major bone of contention. The only exception to this rule are children of accredited foreign diplomats. Many Republicans, including Trump, argued that birthright citizenship has also given rise to birth tourism, in which pregnant women enter the US illegally or on tourist visas and then give birth in the US before returning home. This would further speed up the process of the child's parents getting a green card of citizenship. Currently, Mexican and Indian families, as per reports, are among the highest percentage of people who use this route. This, in Trump's words, is ridiculous. So now, on his first day as president, he signed an executive order curbing multiple immigration laws, including this one. The order signed by Trump now states that a child born in the country will only be granted US citizenship if at least one parent is a US citizen, a green card holder, or a member of the US military. However, babies born before the effective date of the order will retain US citizenship because the order is not retroactive. Now, there are millions of Indian Americans currently studying or working in the US who have been awaiting green cards for years. Some have been awaiting it for decades. And this law can hamper their long-term goal of attaining permanent residency in the United States. Those who are currently on H1B work visas, their kids will not be granted automatic citizenship. This is causing stress, uncertainty, and hitting more snags in their attempt to make US their home. Many of them are already facing long green card backlogs and would likely be delayed further if their kids are no longer entitled to citizenship at birth. Trump had also earlier said that they would not want to separate families, so they might just send everyone back, including those entitled to remaining in the US, to ensure that the families are not separated. Of course, Trump's order isn't likely to go down easy. It's already sparked outrage from several quarters, and many influential voices have spoken out against this decision. They say that this will undoubtedly accelerate the exodus of highly skilled immigrant talent stuck in the century-long backlog and immigration limbo. US-based author Vivek Wadhwa writes that excluding children of birth tourists and illegal immigrants is one thing, but sidelining those legally building a life in America and driving its competitiveness is another. Immigrant and civil rights advocates have already filed lawsuits against the order. So what happens now? Remember the 14th Amendment that we spoke about? Essentially, the Trump administration will now clarify the amendment and convince courts to agree with a narrower reading of the Constitution that's been promoted by some conservative legal scholars, saying that the subject to jurisdiction of the US part was technically not applicable for those who are illegally in the United States. Birthright citizenship has been affirmed by US Supreme Court despite being challenged many times, and changing the Constitution itself is of course no easy task. Trump cannot amend the Constitution by himself. To implement any such changes, his administration will require the support of 2/3 majority in both chambers of Congress. The amendment must also be ratified by 3/4 of all state legislatures, and the Republicans don't have these numbers in either chamber. The executive order passed by Trump has already been challenged in court as a violation of the 14th Amendment. So technically, as per most people's understanding, it will end up being up to the courts to decide. As per immigration experts in the United States, the Supreme Court may at some point find arguments for restricting birthright citizenship persuasive. As per the New York Times, at least one federal judge has indicated a willingness to consider it. There are several countries that had traditions of universal birthright citizenship. They were basically rooted in the English common law, so it was followed by countries like Britain, Ireland, Australia, and India. But these countries have since abolished that right, or at least restricted it. So how the whole case pans out now under the Trump 2.0 administration, we'll have to wait and watch in the days to come.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the courts? That one is likely to be challenged.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you're right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We have very good grounds.
Sir,
People have wanted to do this for decades.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the courts? That one is likely to be challenged.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We have very good grounds.
Sir,
People have wanted to do this for decades.
Hope you found this video informative. For more such content, keep watching Mint. We'll keep tracking this story closely.